Hello everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new here, you're welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber and viewer, thank you so much for watching. So in today's video, I am re-uploading the Overbust corset I made in one of my videos. Some of you complained that it was too fast, so I actually made it slower, and I'll be explaining it much more better this time around so that you can understand. So let's get started. Now firstly, I'll be marking my horizontal lines, and for my horizontal lines I have my chest line, I have my nipple point or breast point, I have my underbust, I have my half length, and I have the blouse length. Now when you're making a corset, you can go 5 inches above your waistline. So let me go again with my horizontal lines. For my chest line, I'm going down by 7.5 inches. For my nipple point, I am using 10.5 inches. For my underbust, it is 13.5 inches, and then for my waist is 16.5 inches. So I'll just go ahead and draw a straight line, and then afterwards I'm going to label it so that we are going to identify the lines very well. So here is my chest line, my bust point, or you can call it nipple point, my underbust, the half length or waistline, and then my blouse length. Now at the shoulder line, I'm going to mark 7 inches for my shoulder. That's on fold 14 inches. So I'll mark the same thing down on my chest line to create a straight line. So afterwards, I'll go next to mark my neckline using the 3 by 3 inches for both width and depth. So next, at my shoulder line, I'm going to go down by 1 inch. And then for my armhole, I'm going to go down by ½ inch to have the accurate armhole. Then I'll divide it by 2 and go in by ½ inches on the center to form my armhole curve. So after that is done, I'm going to measure my bust, and my bust is 4 inches, and that's 8.5 on fold. Then for my waist is 30 inches. Now take note, for this corset I'll be taking out 3 inches for snatching, so that means we'll be left with 6.5 inches. So I'm going to add 1.5 for that allowance temporarily. For my hip 38 inches, I'll be marking 9.5 inches of my blouse length. So that's it for the bodies. So next, I'll be marking my nipple to nipple on my bust point, under bust, hip line, and also my blouse length. So I'll just make this temporary straight line. So next, I'll be marking my side dart. I'll be going down by 1 inch. I'll connect it straight to my nipple point, then divide it by 2 so that I can fold it. So for my shoulder dart, I'll divide what I have left by 2 and connect it down also to my nipple point, just like this. Next, let's mark our dart. Now at the blouse length, you're going to measure 1.5 inches, just like this. That's going to be our new dart line. So you just connect it to your nipple point, okay, and then we just take ½ inch on both sides. And then on my half length, I'll mark ½ inch on this side and then 1 inch on this other side. On my underbust, I'm going to mark 3/4 inch on this side and then 1¼ inch on the other side. So I'll just go ahead to connect all the dots together. So for the neckline of my overbust corset, I went up by 1 inch from my chest line. I don't want the neckline to be too low, that's why I went up to form my new overbust line. Now this overbust line, I'm going to be taking out 1 inch, so that's ½ inch on both sides. I'll just go ahead to connect it together to the nipple point. So at my blouse length, I'm measuring 2 inches. I'm going to form the new dart line. Okay, so you just make it straight up just like this. So I divided ½ inch on my dart on both half length and the blouse length, and I'll just connect it together just like this. So back to the overbust. To shape my neckline, I just went up by 1 inch to have this curve. So I'll just shape my neckline just like this. Okay. Okay, so I'll go ahead to use my marker to bolden my line so that you can see it properly. So to close my side dart, I've just opened my shoulder dart, and also to be able to mark my neckline properly. So I've just put it together to make sure that the both points are meeting. For my armhole, I've just extended it by ½ inch to give allowance for the dart that we took at the shoulder. So let's remark our body measurements. For the bust, it's actually 8½. Then for the allowance, 1 inch is making 9½. Then for our waist, it's actually accurate because we've added 1½ inch sewing allowance for it initially. I mean that allowance for it initially. Then for the hip, we're going to add 1½ inches that allowance. So afterwards, I'm going to go up by 1 inch to form our curve. This is going to make your corset to sit well on your hip. So that's it for the front. For the back, there's not so much. If you're familiar with making corset dresses, then you'll get this one quickly. So I have drafted my horizontal lines. I'm just marking my measurements. That's my bust, my waist, and then my hip. I'll connect everything together with this line. Then next, I'm going to move in to my neckline. I'll be going down by ½ inch to form this curve for my back neckline. So I'll be taking out ½ inch on the upside and then 1 inch on the downside for my loop allowance. So on my waistline, I'm going to divide what's left by 3. I'll just divide it equally, and then I'm going to mark my darts. So on my dart, I'll be taking out ½ inch on both sides. The down part, I'll go up by 1 inch, but before I mark it, let me go ahead and label. So I have my center front, my side, and my middle. So just make sure you label it. It's very important if you don't want to lose any piece or get confused when sewing. So for my back side, I'm taking the front side to measure what I have at the back and also at the front to make sure it corresponds. I don't know if that makes sense. So here is our pattern. I'm going to place it on my fabric. I'm using a damask fabric. You can use any fabric of your choice. So make sure you give your sewing allowance, or mark your sewing allowance, I mean. Okay, so I'm marking ½ inch on every side except my blouse length. That's the down part, and that's because I'm going to be taping the underneath, or the down part. I'm going to be taping it, so we don't need to give sewing allowance for it. But at my side I added 1 inch sewing allowance. Okay, so I'll go ahead to just add interfacing to all my fabric, both the lining and the damask itself. And then for my bust area, which is the center front and then the middle side, I'll be adding my wadding. I won't be adding wadding to this side. We have the middle, we have the center front. That's the only two I'm adding wadding to. So I'll just go ahead to join all the pieces together. Most importantly, again, make sure that you notch all your points. That's your underbust, your nipple point, your half length. So this is going to help you when sewing. So after joining them, I've gone ahead to give it a good press, and this is what it looks like. And to the next thing, which is our caging. So I'm using my marker to mark where I'm going to be caging, or where I will be passing my sewing boning. Now for your caging, you can use any size of boning you have, but it must be a sewable boning. So while sewing on your bust dart, make sure that you stretch your fabric. So after you are done caging, you're going to need to press it. So make sure you use an M when doing that, so that you can bring out the curve on your bust. The boning can make it to be straight if you're not careful, okay? But giving it that good press on your hem is going to bring out the curve to be perfect. After that, you are going to need to cover your caging using a fiber. As at the time I was making this video, I don't have a fiber, so I'm making use of a wadding. So first, you place your hemming gum on the cage like this. Then you put your fiber on it, just like the same way I did for the wadding. You place your fibers and make sure that you use 2 layers of fibers. That means after putting the first layer, you add another hemming gum, and then you place the second layer of fibers. Then you are going to trim it. This is going to make your bust to make your bust fuller. So here is the back of the dress. For the back, I'll be attaching boning to the lining. So I'll be attaching it just like this. You can see it. So I'm attaching boning to every joining and also to the top and the bottom. It's very important. It's going to make your dress to have structure, well, especially at the back. So just watch as I am doing it. So I will do the same thing for the other side. I will attach the boning to the joining just like I did for the first part. You can see that I labeled each piece and even put an arrow for me to identify the down part and the up part of the dress. So make sure you do this when you are doing yours. So I'll go ahead to attach my boning to the neckline at the back. Afterwards, I will sew the lining and the main fabric together like this, and then I will just turn it around. Make sure that you notch the edge so that you'll be able to have this pointedness at the end. So for the front, I'm just making my boning channels, and I just cut the fabric like about 1 inch to 2 inch. I folded it like this. You can see how I'm doing it. Then I'll go ahead to top stitch it, okay, to cover it like this. I'm using a plastic boning for the front, so I'm creating the boning channels now. So for this illustration, I'm just making use of 4 boning channels. You can decide to add more. In fact, it's important you add more. You have to add more channels to the middle, and then also one to the side. So you should have at least like 6 boning channels just for the front. I'll go ahead to insert my boning. So for this plastic boning, I used my lighter to burn it a little bit at the edge so that it's not going to choke the fabric and it will be comfortable to wear. So after that, I'm going to go ahead to turn it with my lining. Like I said, make sure you add fiber to your own post-caging. It's going to make it to be full and really nice. Like the bustier will come out really nice. So I'll just turn the neckline, sewing by 1/2 inch. Make sure that you add boning also to your lining at the top. I didn't add here, so you add for yours. So I'll just go ahead to turn it, and then here I'm trying to bond the edge of the boning so that it will be comfortable like what I said. Now to the back of the dress. I'm sorry I will not be able to finish this dress on camera, but I will explain to you how you can do the finishing. So for the back, you're going to add your eaglet, and then for the front, how to join the front together. You join it together just like this. I'll show you now. When you join it together like this, then you have to add a boning channel to the side. At the boning channel, you insert your boning to it. That's after joining the two sides together. Make sure you add your boning channel and a boning to it. Now for the down part, like I said, I didn't give a sewing allowance, so we are going to be taping it. You get a fabric about 2 inches or 1.5. You will just turn it around and tape the down part. So that is it for this dress. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.